I thought I was giving her everything she wanted. I didn't know I was giving up everything that made me whole. My name is Juliana, and I need to tell you about the worst mistake I ever made. Not the kind where you accidentally send a text to the wrong person or forget to pay a bill. The kind that changes everything. The kind that makes you question whether the people you love most in the world ever really loved you back. It started 18 months ago with a phone call at 2 a.m. Jules, are you awake? Melina's voice was thick with tears. My younger sister never called this late unless something was seriously wrong. I sat up in bed, instantly alert. What happened? Are you okay? Can you come over? Please, I need to talk to someone. 20 minutes later, I was sitting on her couch while she sobbed into a tissue. Clyde hovered nearby, looking helpless in that way men do when their wives are crying and they don't know how to fix it. The doctor said it's not going to happen, Melina whispered. They're not viable. Something about premature ovarian aging. I'm 31, Jules. 31, and my body is already giving up. I reached for her hand. There are options. IVF. Donor eggs. Donor eggs. She looked up at me with red-rimmed eyes. That's what he suggested. But Jules, what if the baby doesn't look like me? What if I can't bond with it? What if… Hey! I squeezed her fingers. Any baby you raise will be yours. Biology isn't everything. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that should have been my first warning. What about your eggs? I blinked. What about them? You've never wanted kids. You always said you were too focused on your career, too independent. But your eggs are good, right? I mean, you're only 3 years older than me. The room went silent except for the hum of their refrigerator. Clyde shifted uncomfortably. Melina, I said carefully. Are you asking me to… Would you consider it? Please? She grabbed both my hands. You're my sister. We have the same genes, the same family history. The baby would still be family. It would still be ours. I should have said no. I should have suggested they explore other options. Find an anonymous donor. Take time to process their grief. Instead, I looked at my little sister's tear-streaked face and felt that familiar tug of responsibility I'd carried since we were kids. Let me think about it. But we both knew I'd already decided. The next few weeks were a blur of medical appointments, legal consultations, and family discussions. My mother was over the moon. This is such a beautiful thing you're doing, she kept saying. Melina is so lucky to have a sister like you. The legal stuff was straightforward. I'd donate eggs, they'd be fertilized with Clyde's sperm, and implanted in Melina. I'd have no parental rights or responsibilities. The baby would be theirs in every legal sense. Are you sure about this? Destiny asked me over coffee one afternoon. She's been my best friend since college and she never sugarcoats anything. This isn't like lending someone your car, Jules. This is your genetic material. I'm not using it, I said. I've never wanted to be a mother. You know that. But what if you change your mind? I won't. She studied my face. What if Melina changes? What if having a baby makes her different? She's my sister. She won't change. Destiny signed the papers as my witness, but I could tell she had reservations. The egg retrieval was harder than I expected. Not just physically, though the hormones made me feel like I was losing my mind, but emotionally. Lying on that table, knowing pieces of my future were being extracted and handed over to someone else, felt more profound than I'd anticipated. Melina held my hand in recovery. Thank you, she whispered. I know this wasn't easy. It's worth it if it makes you happy. She smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms. This is going to work, she said. I can feel it. This is our miracle. 2 weeks later, the pregnancy test was positive. Melina called me screaming with joy, and I felt something I hadn't expected, a weird sense of pride mixed with loss, like I'd given away something precious and irreplaceable. But it was worth it to hear her so happy. It was worth it to see our mother cry tears of joy. It was worth it to know I'd helped create the family Melina had always dreamed of. At least, that's what I told myself. Noah arrived on a Tuesday in March, screaming his lungs out and perfect in every way. I was the second person to hold him, right after Melina. His tiny fingers wrapped around mine, and I felt something shift inside my chest. Not maternal instinct exactly, but something deeper. Recognition, maybe. He has your nose, I told Melina. Though honestly, he looked like every other newborn I'd ever seen. And your stubborn chin, she laughed, exhausted but glowing. Look at him, Jules. We made a miracle. For the first few months, everything was exactly how I'd imagined it would be. I was the devoted aunt who brought groceries and helped with night feedings. Melina was the grateful new mom who couldn't stop thanking me. Clyde took 1,000 pictures a day and sent them to everyone he knew. I started a college fund for Noah. Melina cried when I told her. You've already given us so much, she said. I want to do this. He's family. But somewhere around month 4, things started to shift. Small things at first. Jules, could you not hold him so much when you're here? Melina asked one afternoon. I read that babies can get confused about who their primary caregiver is. I looked down at Noah, who was sleeping peacefully in my arms. He's not confused. He knows you're his mom. I know, but still, maybe just less holding. I handed him over without argument, but something cold settled in my stomach. The comments got more frequent, more pointed. You know, Jules, you should really think about dating again, Melina said during a family dinner. You're spending so much time here, people might think you're trying to play house with my baby. Our mother laughed. Melina, don't be silly. I'm just saying, Jules is 34. If she wants her own family, she needs to get moving. Her biological clock isn't getting any younger. I'm fine, I said quietly. Are you, though? Because sometimes I worry you're living vicariously through Noah and me. It's not healthy. Clyde shifted uncomfortably in his seat. Mel, maybe... What? I'm just looking out for my sister. I don't want her to miss out on having her own life because she's so focused on ours. The worst part was how she said it, with this concerned, loving tone that made me sound pathetic for objecting. Then there was the blog. Melina had started a parenting blog called Miracle Mama 3 weeks after Noah was born. At first, it was just cute stories about sleepless nights and first smiles. But as her following grew, the content changed. I'm building a brand, she explained when I asked about it. There's real money in mommy blogging if you do it right. She wasn't wrong. Within 6 months, she had sponsorship deals with baby food companies and diaper brands. Her Instagram following hit 50,000. Local news stations started featuring her as an inspirational mom who overcame infertility. That's when the narrative really started to shift. Some people don't understand the journey, she posted on her blog. They see a happy baby and think it was easy. They don't see the years of trying, the heartbreak, the medical procedures. They don't understand that some of us had to fight for our miracles. She never mentioned me directly, but the implication was clear. She was the warrior mom. Everyone else, including me, just didn't get it. The breaking point came at Noah's 6-month birthday party. Speech! Speech! Someone called out when Melina stood up with her wine glass. I just want to thank everyone for being here, she began. This little guy has taught me so much about perseverance and faith. When the doctors told me I couldn't have children, I could have given up. But I didn't. I fought for this baby. And look what happened. She gestured to Noah, who was happily gumming a teething ring in his high chair. Some people might have accepted defeat. Some people might have decided that if they couldn't have their own biological children, they'd just give up on the dream entirely. But not me. I knew in my heart that I was meant to be a mother. Her eyes found mine across the room. And I'm so grateful that Noah will grow up knowing his mom never stopped believing in miracles, even when other people had already given up hope. The room erupted in applause. People came up to hug her, telling her how inspiring she was, how lucky Noah was to have such a determined mother. I slipped out to the kitchen and found Clyde loading the dishwasher. "That was quite a speech," I said. He didn't look at me. "Yeah, well, you know Melina. She likes to tell a good story." "Is that what this is? A story?" He finally met my eyes, and I saw something there. Guilt, maybe. Or fear. "Jules, I think maybe you should give us some space for a while." Space? Melina thinks you're getting too attached. To Noah. She's worried it's not healthy for anyone. I stared at him. "Too attached to my own. He's not yours," Clyde said quickly. "Legally, biologically, in every way that matters, he's ours. You signed papers." "I know what I signed." "Then you know you don't have any claim to him. And maybe it's time you started acting like it." I left the party without saying goodbye, but as I sat in my car in their driveway, I heard Melina's voice drifting through the open window. "No one will ever know the baby isn't really mine." I called my mother the next morning, still shaking from what I'd overheard. "Mom, I need to talk to you about Melina." "Oh, honey, what's wrong now?" That phrase, "what's wrong now?" Like I was the problem child who always stirred up drama. She's acting like I don't exist. Like I had nothing to do with Noah being here. "Juliana, sweetheart, you need to understand. Melina is going through a lot right now. Being a new mother is overwhelming, and she's just trying to bond with her baby. Her baby that exists because of my eggs." Silence on the other end. "Mom, you know I'm grateful for what you did. We all are. But Noah is Melina's son. She carried him. She gave birth to him. She's raising him. You can't expect her to constantly acknowledge your contribution." "My contribution? Is that what we're calling it?" "You know what I mean. You did a beautiful thing, but now you need to step back and let Melina be his mother." "I'm not trying to be his mother. I just want to be acknowledged as..." "As what exactly?" "You signed away your rights, Juliana. You can't change your mind now just because you're having second thoughts." "I'm not having second thoughts. I just don't want to be erased." "No one is erasing you. You're his aunt. That's a special role." "But I'm not just his aunt, am I?" Another long pause. "Juliana, I think you need to talk to someone. A therapist, maybe. This fixation on Noah isn't healthy." "Fixation? Mom, I donated my eggs to help my sister. Now she's acting like I'm some crazy woman who can't let go." "Maybe you can't let go. Maybe this whole thing was a mistake." Her words hit me like a slap. "A mistake?" "I didn't mean it like that. I just think maybe you weren't as ready for this as you thought you were." I hung up. 2 weeks later, Mom invited me to Sunday dinner. "Family time," she called it, like we were all one big happy unit again. Melina was already there when I arrived, Noah on her hip, looking like the picture-perfect mother in her flowy sundress and messy bun. "Jules." She hugged me with her free arm. "I'm so glad you came. We've missed you." "Have you?" "Of course, your family." Dinner was tense. Every time I looked at Noah, I caught Melina watching me with this calculating expression. When I offered to hold him while she ate, she declined. "He's going through a clingy phase," she explained. "Stranger anxiety, you know?" "I'm not a stranger." "Well, no, but you haven't been around much lately." Mom jumped in. "Melina was just telling me about her blog. She's up to 75,000 followers now." "That's great," I said flatly. "She's really inspiring people, showing them that miracles can happen if you don't give up." Melina beamed. "I got the most beautiful message yesterday from a woman who's been trying to conceive for 3 years. She said my story gave her hope." "What story is that exactly?" I asked. "You know, about overcoming infertility. About fighting for what you want instead of just accepting defeat." "And what does accepting defeat look like?" Melina's smile faltered slightly. "Well, some people just give up. They decide that if they can't have biological children, they won't have any at all. They choose to remain childless rather than explore other options. Other options like what? Adoption, surrogacy, donor eggs. There are so many ways to become a parent if you really want it. I set down my fork. So in your story, I'm the person who gave up? Jules, that's not what I... Because that's what it sounds like. You're the brave warrior who fought for her miracle baby, and I'm the sad, childless woman who just accepted her fate. You did accept your fate, Melina said quietly. You chose not to have children. I chose not to have children the traditional way. That doesn't mean I gave up on anything. Mom reached across the table. Girls, please, let's not fight. We're not fighting, Melina said, bouncing Noah gently. We're just talking. Jules, I think you're being a little sensitive. Sensitive? You donated eggs because you didn't want to use them. Now you're upset that I'm not constantly crediting you for my pregnancy. It's a little contradictory. I stared at her. You think this is about credit? Isn't it? You want me to tell everyone that Noah wouldn't exist without you. But the truth is, lots of things had to happen for him to be here. The doctors, the lab technicians, Clyde's contribution. Should I thank all of them in every post, too? That's not the same thing. Why not? Before I could answer, she stood up and raised her water glass. Actually, you know what? Let's toast. To family. To the people who support each other through the hard times. To miracles that happen when you believe in them. And to accepting that some people are meant to be parents, while others are meant to play different roles. She looked directly at me. To being grateful for what we have instead of bitter about what we don't. Mom clinked her glass against Melina's. That's beautiful, sweetheart. I didn't raise my glass. I should go, I said, standing up. Jules, don't be dramatic, Melina called after me. But I was already grabbing my purse. As I reached the front door, I heard Mom say, She'll come around. She just needs time to adjust. I hope so, Melina replied. I'd hate for her bitterness to affect Noah as he grows up. I sat in my car for 10 minutes before driving home. When I got there, I had an email waiting in my inbox from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, You need to see this. The email contained 3 screenshots from a private fertility forum. The username was Miracle Mama 31, Melina's handle. The first post was from 2 months ago. Ladies, I need advice. My sister donated eggs for my IVF, but now she's acting weird around the baby. Like she thinks she has some claim to him. How do I set boundaries without seeming ungrateful? The second was worse. Update. Sister situation getting awkward. She keeps bringing up the egg donation like she wants credit. I'm thinking of limiting her visits. The baby needs to bond with his real parents, not get confused by someone who thinks biology matters more than actually raising a child. But the third screenshot made my hands shake. Final update? Problem solved. Sister finally backed off. Honestly, I think she was having some kind of breakdown about her own infertility. Good thing I never told anyone the eggs were hers. As far as the world knows, this miracle baby is 100% mine. No one will ever know the truth, and that's how it should be. I stared at the screen until the words blurred. Then I called the number at the bottom of the email. Destiny speaking. It was you. Hey, Jules. Yeah, it was me. How did you find these? I have my ways. Let's just say Melina isn't as careful about her privacy settings as she thinks she is. I scrolled through the screenshots again. She's telling strangers that I'm having a breakdown. She's doing more than that. She's rewriting history, making herself the victim and you the crazy aunt who can't let go. Maybe I am the crazy aunt who can't let go. Bullshit. You donated your genetic material to help your sister have a baby. Now she's pretending it never happened and painting you as unstable for expecting basic acknowledgement. That's not crazy. That's gaslighting. I walked to my kitchen and poured a glass of wine with shaking hands. What am I supposed to do with this? Whatever you want. But Jules, you need to stop letting her control the narrative. I signed papers, legal papers saying I have no claim to Noah. You signed papers giving up parental rights. That doesn't mean you gave up the right to exist, or the right to have your contribution acknowledged. She's his mother, Destiny. She carried him. She gave birth to him. With your eggs, your genetic material, your DNA is literally running through that baby's veins, and she's acting like you're some random bystander. I took a long sip of wine. Come over, I need to show you something. An hour later, Destiny was sitting at my kitchen table, reading through the egg donor agreement we'd signed 18 months ago. This is ironclad, she said. You're listed as the biological mother, Melina as the intended mother. It's all here in black and white. But I gave up my rights. You gave up your parental rights. You didn't give up your biological reality. She flipped to page 3. Look at this clause. All parties acknowledge that the donor is the biological mother of any resulting children, and that this fact may be disclosed for medical purposes or legal proceedings. Medical purposes, not public humiliation purposes. Jules, what she's doing isn't just cruel. It might be illegal. She's committed fraud by not disclosing the egg donation to their pediatrician. What if Noah has a genetic condition that runs in your family? What if he needs medical history that only you can provide? I hadn't thought of that. Do you think she told their doctor? Based on these forum posts? I doubt it. She's so committed to this fiction that Noah is biologically hers. She's probably lying to everyone. Destiny pulled out her phone. I'm going to do some digging. See what else I can find. Don't. This is already too much. Too much? Jules, your sister is publicly trashing you while building a career off a baby that wouldn't exist without you. She's making money off your sacrifice while painting you as mentally unstable. How is that too much? Because he's still her baby. She's still raising him. And you're still his biological mother. That doesn't just disappear because it's inconvenient for her brand. I stared at the legal documents spread across my table. I never wanted to be a mother. But you are one. Biologically, genetically, legally. According to this contract, you are Noah's mother. Melina is his adoptive mother, essentially. There's nothing wrong with that, but she can't just pretend the truth doesn't exist. So what are you suggesting I do? Sue for custody? I'm suggesting you stop letting her erase you. Stop letting her rewrite history to make herself look better. Stop letting her profit off your sacrifice while calling you crazy. My phone buzzed. A text from Melina. Hey, Noah's baptism is next month. I'd love for you to be his godmother. It would mean so much to have you there as part of his spiritual journey. Let me know. I showed the text to Destiny. Godmother, she read aloud. Not biological mother, not the woman whose eggs created him. Godmother. Maybe this is her way of making peace. Or maybe this is her way of cementing the narrative. You get to be the honorary aunt who plays a supporting role in her miracle baby story. I looked at the forum screenshots again. No one will ever know the truth. They will if you tell them. I can't do that to Noah. He doesn't deserve to be in the middle of this. He's already in the middle of it. The question is whether he grows up knowing the truth or living in his mother's lie. I stared at Melina's text for a long time. Then I typed back, I'd be honored to be his godmother. But as I hit send, something cold and determined settled in my chest. The baptism was at St. Mary's, the same church where Melina got married. She'd decorated the reception hall with white and gold balloons, professional photographer capturing every moment for her blog. Noah looked adorable in his tiny white suit, completely oblivious to the performance happening around him. Juliana, Melina rushed over as I walked in. You look beautiful. Thank you so much for doing this. It means everything to have you as Noah's godmother. She hugged me tight, and for a second I almost forgot about the forum posts. Almost. Where should I sit? I asked. Oh, you'll be up front with us during the ceremony. Then I have a little surprise for you during the reception. Surprise. You'll see. She winked and hurried off to greet other guests. The ceremony was beautiful. I held Noah during the blessing, his tiny hand gripping my finger. When the priest asked if I promised to help guide him in faith, I said yes and meant it. But it was the reception where everything went sideways. Melina had invited everyone, family, friends, her blog followers, even some local influencers. The room was packed with people taking photos and posting to social media with hashtags like Miracle Baby and Blessed Mama. I was talking to my cousin Maria when Melina clinked her champagne glass. "Everyone, can I have your attention, please?" The room quieted. Noah was sleeping in his carrier, exhausted from all the attention. "I just want to thank you all for being here today to celebrate Noah's baptism. This little guy has brought so much joy into our lives, and having all of you here to witness his blessing means the world to us." Polite applause. I smiled and clapped along. As many of you know, our journey to parenthood wasn't easy. For years, Clyde and I struggled with infertility. We went through treatments, procedures, heartbreak after heartbreak. There were times when I wanted to give up. Her voice caught slightly, and several people made sympathetic sounds. But I didn't give up. I couldn't. I knew in my heart that I was meant to be a mother. I knew that if I just kept fighting, kept believing, a miracle would happen. She looked down at Noah with such genuine love that I felt a pang of guilt for doubting her. And here he is, our miracle baby, proof that faith and perseverance pay off, proof that sometimes the most beautiful things come after the hardest struggles. More applause. Someone called out, "You're an inspiration, Melina." Thank you. But I also want to acknowledge that not everyone understands this journey. Not everyone gets what it's like to fight for something so desperately while watching other people take it for granted. My stomach dropped. Some people see a happy, healthy baby and think it was easy. They don't see the years of trying, the medical procedures, the emotional toll. They don't understand that every day with Noah feels like a gift because we know how close we came to never having him at all. She paused, scanning the room. Her eyes found mine. And sometimes, even the people closest to us struggle to understand. Sometimes they feel left out, or envious, or bitter about their own circumstances. The room was dead silent now. I could feel people starting to look at me. I want everyone to know that I don't judge anyone for those feelings. Infertility is hard. Watching other people have what you want is hard. I get it, I really do. My face was burning. I wanted to leave, but I was trapped in the front row. But I also want to say that bitterness doesn't have to define us. Just because one path doesn't work out doesn't mean we should give up on finding joy in other ways. Just because we can't have something doesn't mean we should resent the people who do. She looked directly at me again. I pray that someday everyone in this room finds peace with their own journey. I pray that my sister Juliana, especially, finds a way to move past her own struggles with infertility and discovers the happiness she deserves. The room erupted in sympathetic murmurs. I heard someone whisper, "Oh, that's so sad." Another person said, "She's so gracious." I sat frozen as people turned to look at me with pity. Poor Juliana, the bitter, infertile sister who couldn't be happy for Melina's miracle. Melina raised her glass. To Noah, our miracle baby. To faith, perseverance, and never giving up on your dreams. And to family, even when it's complicated. Everyone toasted. Everyone except me. I stood up slowly, my legs shaking. The room was still buzzing with conversation about Melina's touching speech and my tragic situation. "Excuse me," I said quietly. But instead of heading for the exit, I walked to the front of the room. Melina's eyes widened as I approached the microphone. "Actually," I said, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system, "I'd like to say something too." The room fell silent again. Melina's face went pale. "Thank you, Melina, for that. Interesting speech. But I think there might be some confusion about my situation that I should clear up." I looked out at the crowd of expectant faces. Family members, friends, strangers with their phones ready to capture whatever drama was about to unfold. "You see, I'm not actually infertile. I've never struggled with infertility. In fact, my reproductive system works just fine. Confused murmurs rippled through the crowd. I know this because 18 months ago, I donated my eggs to help Melina get pregnant. Noah exists because of my eggs and Clyde's sperm implanted in Melina's uterus. The murmurs turned to gasps. Someone dropped their champagne glass. So when Melina talks about her miracle baby, she's talking about a baby created from my genetic material. When she talks about faith and perseverance paying off, she's talking about the faith and perseverance that led me to undergo hormone treatments and surgical procedures to help her become a mother. I reached into my purse and pulled out the folded legal documents. I have the contracts right here if anyone wants to see them. They clearly state that I am Noah's biological mother, and Melina is his intended mother. It's all legal, all documented, all true. The room was dead silent now except for the sound of Noah fussing in his carrier. Now I want to be very clear about something. I don't want to parent Noah. I signed away my parental rights willingly, and I stand by that decision. Melina is his mother in every way that matters. She carried him, birthed him, and is raising him with love. I looked directly at her. She was staring at me with a mixture of horror and rage. But I won't be erased. I won't be painted as a bitter, infertile woman who can't handle someone else's happiness. I won't let my sacrifice be rewritten as someone else's miracle story. I folded the papers and put them back in my purse. So, there you have it. The truth. Noah isn't just Melina's miracle. He's mine too. And now you all know it. The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Then everyone started talking at once. Oh my God. Did she just say, the baby is hers? I can't believe... Melina grabbed the microphone from me, her hands shaking. Everyone, please, there's been a misunderstanding. She's been under a lot of stress lately, and... There's no misunderstanding, I said loudly, without the microphone. Everything I said is documented, legal, true. Jules, stop. Melina's voice cracked. Please. Not here, not like this. Where then? In private where you can gaslight me some more? Where you can tell me I'm being dramatic and sensitive? Our mother pushed through the crowd, her face white. Juliana, what are you doing? I'm telling the truth, Mom. Something I should have done months ago. This is Noah's baptism, she hissed. How could you ruin this day? I didn't ruin anything. I just refused to be erased. Clyde appeared beside Melina, taking the microphone. Okay, everyone, let's all just take a breath here. This is a family matter that we should discuss privately. Is it, though? I turned to face the crowd. Because Melina has been very public about her miracle story. She's built a whole brand around it. Thousands of followers, sponsorship deals, speaking engagements, all based on a version of events that erases my existence. Juliana, please, Clyde said quietly. Think about Noah. I am thinking about Noah. I'm thinking about what happens when he grows up and finds out his entire origin story is a lie. Melina stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. You're destroying everything. Our family, Noah's future, everything. I'm not destroying anything. I'm revealing what was already broken. People were starting to leave. I heard someone say, "This is too much drama for me." Phones were out, recording everything. Melina's perfect baptism was becoming a viral disaster. Can we please continue this conversation somewhere private? Clyde asked desperately. Why? So you can convince me to go back to being the grateful aunt who stays in her lane? So we can figure out what's best for Noah. What's best for Noah is the truth. What's best for Noah is growing up in a family that doesn't lie about his origins. Melina wiped her eyes, leaving mascara streaks on her cheeks. Fine. You want the truth? Here's the truth. You donated eggs because you didn't want children. You said so yourself, multiple times. You said you were too selfish, too focused on your career, too independent to be a mother. I never said I was too selfish. You said you weren't maternal. You said the idea of being responsible for another human being terrified you. You said you'd rather focus on your work than change diapers. She was right. and we both knew it. But somehow, hearing it thrown back at me in front of all these people felt like a slap. That doesn't mean I wanted to be erased from his story. You can't have it both ways, Jules. You can't give up your rights and then demand recognition. You can't say you don't want to be a mother and then get upset when someone else mothers your biological child. I'm not upset that you're mothering him. I'm upset that you're pretending I don't exist. Because it's easier for everyone, including Noah. Do you want him to grow up confused about who his real mother is? I want him to grow up knowing the truth. The crowd was thinning out rapidly. Only close family and a few brave souls remained to witness our complete meltdown. Clyde stepped between us. Okay, that's enough. Everyone who's not immediate family needs to leave. Now. As people filed out, I heard fragments of conversation. I can't believe she did that at a baptism. Poor Melina. But if it's true, this is going to be all over social media. When the room was mostly empty, Clyde turned to me. Are you happy now? You've humiliated my wife, ruined our son's baptism, and probably destroyed Melina's career. Was it worth it? Your wife humiliated herself by lying. She didn't lie about anything that mattered. She lied about everything that mattered. Mom grabbed my arm. Juliana, I think you should leave. I think I should too. I picked up my purse and headed for the door. But Clyde's voice stopped me. Jules, wait. I turned around. He was standing alone by Noah's carrier, Melina having disappeared into the bathroom. Can we talk? Just for a minute? I walked back over. Noah was awake now, looking up at us with those big, dark eyes that looked exactly like mine. I didn't want to go along with it, Clyde said quietly. The whole narrative thing. Pretending you weren't involved. But you did go along with it. She said it would be easier for everyone. She said you didn't want to be involved anyway. So what was the harm in keeping it simple? The harm is that it's a lie. He nodded slowly. I know, and I'm sorry. I should have stood up to her. Why didn't you? Because she threatened to leave. She said if I didn't support her version of events, she'd take Noah and disappear. I couldn't risk losing him. I stared at him. She threatened to take Noah away from you? Multiple times. Whenever I suggested maybe we should be more honest about the egg donation, she'd say I was trying to undermine her bond with the baby. She'd threaten to file for divorce and full custody. Jesus, Clyde. I know it was wrong. I know I should have been stronger. But I was scared. He looked down at Noah, then back at me. Maybe you should have custody. The words hung in the air between us like a bomb waiting to explode. What? You're his biological mother. You have rights, even if you signed them away. And maybe he'd be better off with someone who isn't constantly lying about where he came from. I stared at him, then at Noah, then back at him. Clyde, I can't. Think about it, Jules. Just think about it. The video went viral within hours. Someone had recorded my speech and posted it on TikTok with the caption, Sister exposes baby mama at baptism, Bosch family drama Archer plot twist. By Monday morning, it had 3 million views. Destiny called me at 6 a.m. Jules, you need to see this. I don't want to see anything. Melina's blog is gone. Her Instagram is private. Her sponsorship deals are pulling out. I was still in bed, staring at the ceiling. I hadn't slept since the baptism. Good. Is it good? Because you sound miserable. I feel miserable. Then why did you do it? Because I had to. Because I couldn't let her erase me anymore. But even as I said it, I wondered if I'd gone too far. The look on Noah's face when everyone started shouting, he'd started crying, and I was the one who caused it. My phone rang again. Mom. Juliana, you need to fix this. Fix what? Melina is devastated. She's locked herself in her bedroom and won't come out. Clyde is talking about separation. The whole family is falling apart. The family was already falling apart, Mom. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. You humiliated your sister in front of everyone she knows. She humiliated me first, for months. That's different, and you know it. How is it different? Because she's Noah's mother. She was protecting her family. By lying about how that family was created. Mom was quiet for a long moment. What do you want, Juliana? What's your endgame here? I want the truth to matter. I want my sacrifice to be acknowledged instead of erased. And now it has been. Are you satisfied? I wasn't satisfied. I felt hollow, like I'd won a battle but lost something important in the process. I have to go, Mom. Wait, there's something else. Child Protective Services called Melina this morning. My blood went cold. What? Someone reported that Noah's medical records might be incomplete, that his biological mother's health history isn't on file. I didn't call CPS. I know you didn't, but someone did. Probably someone who saw that video. I hung up and immediately called Destiny. Did you report them to CPS? No, but I'm not surprised someone did. Jules, if Melina never told their pediatrician about the egg donation, Noah's medical records are incomplete. That's actually dangerous. She was right, but it didn't make me feel better. 2 hours later, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find a man I hadn't seen in 2 years. Emmett? Hey, Jules. My ex-boyfriend stood on my doorstep with coffee and that crooked smile that used to make my knees weak. Saw the video? Thought you might need a friend. How did you even know where I live? Destiny gave me your address. She's worried about you. I let him in because I was too tired to argue. We sat on my couch, drinking coffee in awkward silence. So, he finally said. That was quite a speech. That was quite a disaster. Was it, though? Seems like you finally stood up for yourself. I destroyed a baby's baptism. I probably ruined my sister's marriage. I definitely ruined her career. You told the truth. She's the one who built her career on a lie. I looked at him. Why are you here, Emmett? We broke up for a reason. We broke up because you said you never wanted kids, and I did. Turns out you were wrong about the first part. I didn't want kids. I still don't want kids. Donating eggs doesn't make me maternal. But you fought for that baby yesterday. You fought for your connection to him. I fought for the truth. Same thing. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Amelia, Melina's friend. We need to talk. I have information you should know. I showed Emmett the message. Melina's social media manager, I explained. The one who helped her build the fake narrative? Probably. You should meet with her. Why would I do that? Because she might have answers about why Melina was so desperate to erase you from the story. An hour later, I was sitting across from Amelia at a coffee shop downtown. She looked nervous, constantly checking over her shoulder. I feel terrible about what happened, she said. I helped Melina craft her online persona, but I never thought it would go this far. How far did it go? She made me scrub all mentions of you from her early blog posts. Anytime someone asked about the egg donation in comments, I had to delete them and block the users. Why? Because she said it would confuse her brand. The Miracle Mom story was more marketable than the truth. More marketable? Jules, Melina made over 6 figures last year from sponsorships and speaking engagements. Her story about overcoming infertility through faith and determination was worth serious money. I stared at her. She monetized my eggs. She monetized the lie about your eggs. But there's something else you should know. Amelia pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. This is from 3 years ago, before Noah was even conceived. It was a text conversation between Melina and someone named Derek. Melina. Emmett is getting too serious with Jules. He's talking about marriage and kids. Derek. So? Melina. So if she gets married and has her own family, she won't help me with mine. I need to break them up. Derek. How? Melina. I'll figure something out. but I need her available when I'm ready to start trying. I read the messages 3 times before looking up at Amelia. She sabotaged my relationship? I'm sorry, Jules. I thought you should know. I thought about all the fights Emmett and I had about starting a family. How Melina was always there, subtly reinforcing my fears about motherhood, telling me I was too independent, too career-focused, too selfish to be a good mother. She planned this whole thing. I think so, and I think she always intended to erase you from Noah's story. That's why she never told anyone about the egg donation. She wanted a clean narrative. I sat back in my chair, feeling like I'd been punched in the stomach. I need to go. Jules, wait. There's one more thing. Clyde doesn't know about any of this. He really thought it was just about making things simpler. He's not the bad guy here. I walked out of the coffee shop in a daze. Everything I thought I knew about my family, my relationships, my choices, all of it had been manipulated by my sister. My phone rang. Clyde. Jules, can you come over? We need to talk about Noah's future. And I mean really talk. I found Clyde sitting on his front porch, Noah sleeping in his arms. He looked like he'd aged 10 years since the baptism. Where's Melina? Gone. Packed a bag this morning and left. Said she needed space to think. I'm sorry. Are you? Because part of me thinks you planned this whole thing. I sat down beside him. I didn't plan anything. I just got tired of being erased. Well, congratulations. You've been unerased. Melina's career is destroyed. Our marriage is probably over. And Noah's going to grow up in a broken home. Clyde, I found out some things today. About Melina. About how she... I know. He cut me off. Amelia called me an hour ago, told me about the messages, the manipulation, all of it. We sat in silence for a moment, watching Noah sleep. I should have seen it, he said finally. The way she talked about you sometimes. Like you were this pathetic figure who needed managing. I thought she was just being protective of our family, but she was protecting her lie. What are you going to do? I filed for separation this morning, and I'm requesting full custody. Because of the lies? Because of the lies, the manipulation, the fraud. She never told our pediatrician about the egg donation, Jules. Noah's medical records are incomplete. What if something had happened to him? What if he'd needed surgery and we didn't have accurate genetic information? I looked down at Noah's peaceful face. I never thought about that. She didn't think about a lot of things. She was so focused on her perfect story that she forgot about his actual well-being. The CPS visit? They're requiring updated medical records with your family history included. They're also requiring genetic counseling to make sure we understand any hereditary risks. And Melina? Melina can visit him when she's ready to be honest about who he is and where he came from. Until then, he shrugged. My phone buzzed. A text from Melina. I hope you're happy. You've destroyed everything. I showed it to Clyde. She still doesn't get it, he said. She still thinks you're the problem. Maybe I am. Maybe I should have just stayed quiet. No. His voice was firm. You should have spoken up sooner. We all should have. Another car pulled into the driveway. Emmett got out carrying takeout bags. Figured you might need dinner, he said, walking up to the porch. How did you know I was here? Destiny's been tracking your location. She's worried you're going to do something dramatic. More dramatic than what I already did? Emmett sat down on the porch steps. Clyde, can I ask you something? Shoot. Do you want to raise Noah alone? Clyde looked down at the baby. I want to raise him with someone who loves him and tells him the truth. If that's alone, then yes. What if it wasn't alone? I stared at Emmett. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe we were both wrong 3 years ago. You thought you didn't want kids? I thought I needed a traditional family setup. But look at us now. Emmett, hear me out. You fought for that baby yesterday. You risked everything to make sure he knew where he came from. That's not the action of someone who doesn't care about children. That's the action of someone who was tired of being lied about. Is it? because from where I'm sitting, it looks like the action of a mother protecting her child. Clyde cleared his throat. For what it's worth, I think Noah would be lucky to have both of you in his life. Jules as his biological mother, Emmett as whatever you two figure out. I'm not trying to take him away from you, I said quickly. I know, but maybe we could share him, officially. Co-parent. Is that even legal? My lawyer says yes, if we all agree and the court approves, especially given the circumstances. I looked at Noah, then at Clyde, then at Emmett. I don't know how to be a mother. Neither did Melina, Clyde said, but she figured it out. The difference is, you'd figure it out honestly. My phone rang. Mom. Juliana, please, you have to fix this. Melina is talking about moving across the country. She says she can't face anyone here. Maybe that's for the best. She's your sister. She's a liar and a manipulator who tried to erase me from my own biological child's life. She made mistakes. She made choices, calculated, deliberate choices. And now she has to live with the consequences. I hung up and looked at the two men sitting with me. If we do this, if we try to make some kind of family out of this mess, I have conditions. Name them, Clyde said. No lies. Ever. Noah grows up knowing exactly where he came from and who everyone is in his life. Agreed. And Melina doesn't get to come back and disrupt things when it's convenient for her. If she wants to be part of his life, she has to earn it. Also agreed. I turned to Emmett. And you. If you're serious about this, you're all in. No running when things get complicated. I'm all in. Even though he's not biologically yours? Jules, I fell in love with you 3 years ago. If this is your child, then he's mine too. Noah stirred in Clyde's arms, opening his eyes and looking directly at me. For the first time since he was born, I didn't look away. Okay, I said. Let's try. 6 weeks later, the custody arrangement was finalized. Clyde has primary custody. I have legal recognition as Noah's biological mother with full visitation rights, and Emmett has been approved as a co-guardian. Melina sent a card from California. It said, "I'm sorry," and nothing else. I'm learning to change diapers. Emmett is learning to make bottles. Clyde is learning to trust again. And Noah? Noah is learning that families can be complicated and messy and unconventional, but still full of love. I didn't destroy my sister's life. I exposed the truth she buried me under. And now, finally, I can breathe.